As we end 2020, taking a look at some of the predictions for where the housing market is going in 2021. Starting off with house prices, and if we look at the spread of industry groups and economists, we've got anywhere from a modest drop in 2021, down about 2%, to gains of about 4%. And that's certainly backed up by what's going on with mortgage approvals in the marketplace, also transactions agreed in the marketplace, but also a balancing of supply and demand. We've spent most of 2020 with buyer registrations looking for properties significantly outstripping the number of properties available in the marketplace, except that balance is coming a little bit closer to normal. The other thing that we're seeing is that big bounce that we've seen in the marketplace over the course of 2020 has been driven in the most part by second-time buyers, home movers, scaling up, moving from maybe a two-bedroom house to a three-bedroom or four-bedroom house in response to the pandemic and those requirements to work from home, that desire for more outdoor space. The stamp duty holiday as well has very much benefited those second-time buyers or those home movers significantly more than it has the traditional driver of the market, which is the first-time buyer. That's why most people expected the market to be a little bit more subdued. The other thing to bear in mind is that first-time buyer end of the market, which traditionally drives what goes on with house prices in the UK, will be more hit as the government starts removing some of the support measures in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. As furlough schemes come to an end, as government support for business comes to an end, it's always the younger end of the market that's more in danger of facing pay cuts, facing redundancy, and disproportionately affected by a recession situation. So bear in mind that that will subdue price growth in terms of house prices over the course of 2020. That said, there's still a shortage of supply and there's still lots of pent-up buyer demand, and tied in with this, we've got a significant amount less construction completed in 2020 than was expected, and so therefore that's compounding that shortage of supply. So values are not likely to crash, but they probably won't accelerate at the same level. Rental values have been growing rapidly over the course of 2020. They're unlikely to continue that level of growth over 2021, once again tied in with that affordability issue as government support measures are removed in response to the coronavirus crisis. However, there's still a large market, a big demand built up in the rental industry for good quality accommodation priced at the right price point. So the key there, if you're targeting new acquisitions in your portfolio over the next 12 months, is to make sure you're buying the right type of properties in an area where there's already good demand, where there's proven demand in the marketplace. Now's not the time to be speculating on increased demand. You're looking for proven demand and you want to provide good quality accommodation at the right price point. This is also not the moment to be trying to speculate on raising rents more than what the market will bear. This is the moment to make sure that you're providing the best quality you can at the right price point for the marketplace, because rental affordability is going to be key over the next 12 months. The other thing to consider is whether you should be looking at social housing or government supported tenants over the next 12 months. There's likely to be an increase in this marketplace of people claiming benefits as the effects of the recession that we're in due to coronavirus hit. There will be more redundancies and job losses, probably an increase in people claiming housing benefit, universal credit and other government support measures, and so you don't want to be cutting yourself off from what could be one of the largest tenant markets in the UK. So worth looking at whether there are any government contracts available in your area, whether there are any housing charities or housing associations looking to increase the amount of available accommodation and looking to do deals with those of us in the private rental sector, or whether you can just instruct your lettings agent to be a bit more focused on that particular segment of the market. There's also some pressure on the government, and the government has brought in a lot of tenant-friendly legislation over the last few years. However, some of that's been held up a little bit by the rate of change, the rapid rate of change, not only with the coronavirus pandemic, but also the government's been a bit sidetracked with negotiating the final Brexit deal with the EU. There is pressure for lifetime deposits, and the government has indicated that's back on the agenda for 2021. There's also industry pressure suggesting the government should put in place maybe a low interest loan scheme to support renters in properties who are having difficulty with meeting their obligations due to what's gone on with COVID-19 and the various lockdowns in the UK, to allow the rental market to continue operating effectively. So expect in the first quarter and second quarter of 2021 that we will see some more news from government on changes in what's going on with the lettings industry. The other thing to bear in mind, and this has kind of flown under the radar a little bit with all of the other news that's been going on in the marketplace, is there's a bill entering Parliament on the 29th of January that will make allowing pets in properties a legal requirement for landlords. At the moment, a lot of landlords mark no pets down within their rental property, and there's a big push to make it reasonable for a tenant to request to have a pet in a property. A bit like in the last 2 years we've seen a legal requirement from government that landlords must take an application from a DSS, a social housing tenant, or someone in receipt of local housing allowance or other government benefits, and look at that application on its merits the same way they would with someone who's supporting the rent privately from the proceeds of their work or any business that they operate. So this is more indications that the government is looking to make the lettings market a little bit fairer, make sure that it is working better for tenants overall. And as a landlord, I welcome changes like this because I think we need to remember as landlords that we are in the customer service business. If we treat tenants well, they will stay in our properties longer. They will take better care of our properties, and I don't think it's good practice as a landlord to discriminate against tenants with pets, or on the basis of where their income comes from as well. Now that said, there may be certain types of properties where pets are still impractical. For example, if you're renting out a flat, especially a number of floors up, it's probably not very fair on the tenant or the pet that the tenant has to be cooped up inside a small flat a number of floors up, especially if it's a larger pet. But we've got to be practical about this and not discriminate in tenants against tenants who may have pets, and that looks like it's coming into law at the end of January 2021.